I'm giving away this championship belt at 100,000 subscribers, so go ahead and click subscribe today. Alright guys, this is the Ango Show, and you know how we do it. We talk about all the things happening in pro wrestling. Kenny Omega reacting to Jade Cargill leaving AEW for WWE. He says this may be news to a lot of fans out there, but when one wrestler goes from one company to another, we tend to always wish them the best and cheer for them while they embark on their new journey. Genuinely. It's embarrassing and shameful that some fans aren't capable of the same. Right on, Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, look, I don't know Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks personally. I don't know Tony Khan personally, but Kenny Omega to me seems like the most reasonable and most genuine person in that locker room of AEW. And I feel like a lot of people tend to think because of being the Elite and the Young Bucks and Kenny and how they act on the show, I think sometimes people think that they're not mature or anything like that. But I think what Kenny Omega is saying is very, very good personally. But also I think it's very true. And I think there is a level of authenticity when Kenny puts out a tweet like this. It's not because people are, fishing for headlines and stuff like that, but it's because they see what is being said about Jade and other talent when they leave AEW. And, I think this has become such a big conversation on social media about Jade leaving AEW for WWE. And the fact that people can't be supportive, or the fact that people really got to wave the flag of AEW or WWE in these scenarios, is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the hypocrisy gets exposed all the time as well. Whenever somebody leaves WWE and goes to AEW, people are genuinely mad at that person for choosing that making that decision. But it's so weird to me. I try to talk about booking because I think that's what I love to do. I love to talk about wrestling booking. I like to talk about creative plans. I like fantasy booking and stuff like that. There's times where people have left WWE and gone to AEW, and I just look at AEW business decisions thinking, man, it's not a good choice. But I would never be upset or be unhappy with somebody going to AEW, and I would never be upset or unhappy for somebody to leave AEW and go to WWE. The reality is, that's what we've wanted. We've wanted more companies to exist that pay money, because then you get fresh matchups. And I swear, I don't know who I saw it. I saw it pop up on my timeline, but there was a lot of praise for Jade Cargill from WWE people, right? Becky Lynch and so many others, Bayley, a lot of people have been outspoken and speaking out about Jade coming to WWE. And you got people in AEW doing the same exact thing. Guys, these are wrestlers. They watch wrestling. They're fans of wrestling. At the end of the day, let them be happy for their former colleagues. I think Jade is going to be a rock star in WWE. I feel like AEW could have done so much more. They didn't. Maybe they didn't know how to do it. WWE is the perfect fit for Jade Cargill. The cool thing is, there's going to be people that leave WWE where, man, the same scenario applies, and then AEW will do something good with them. And then the cool thing is, hopefully, it leads to better television. But definitely great statement by Kenny Omega, one of the realest in the industry. Guys, Malakai Black speaking out. I thought this was very crazy because I didn't realize how much conversation has been surrounding Malakai Black. But there's been a lot of rumors that Malakai Black might have heat with AEW. There might be issues with him in AEW. There might be some creative frustrations with him and AEW. And a lot of this was because of the social media stuff, people picking apart Malakai Black potentially having a back injury, which basically in a new story on Instagram, Malakai Black, he says that really he just has a minor injury right now. It was like a calf tear, I think is what he said. But he, like, again, a lot of people are trying to paint a narrative or a picture that doesn't necessarily exist. He says, this is something I want to address. I understand this always comes from a perception of caring, so before I say anything, I appreciate that people care, and it comes from a good place. About a year ago, I made a video about rehabbing a back injury I had, and the video shows the process of overcoming the injury, strengthening, etc. After the video was posted, people started running with the idea, oh, he has a bad back, therefore A, B, and C, which is not the case at all. And for some reason, it has found its way back in the narrative, well, He's not had singles matches because he's had a bad back. He nearly retired because of it, and none of that is not true. Why haven't I had singles matches? I don't know. I think it's because they wanted us as the House of Black to do six-mans. I was also not in six-mans to hide said non-existing injury. Again, rest assured, I do not have a bad back. The reason why I'm at home right now is due to a minor injury, which is I had a slight calf tear and hyperextension in my knee, which is almost nursed back and almost ready to go back on the road. I appreciate the concern, but the reality is I'm fine and you'll see me sooner rather than later. But again, I appreciate the concern. There's a lot of people who tend to speak about Malakai Black on social media. I started looking it up. I started searching on Twitter or X, whatever, and I started seeing what people were saying. And some people believe that he's not having singles matches because he has heat with the company. None of this stuff seems to be real. And Malakai Black was one of those guys when there was rumors of him requesting his release and stuff like that. He spoke out. He's been speaking out. He's very transparent with the fan base, which I think is fantastic. But it's just disappointing that he's not in singles matches, and I understand that. But to sit there and misinform people and add to this conversation in a way that is detrimental, I just think that's ridiculous. You know, I think Malakai Black is a fantastic talent. I would love for them to do more. I would love for House of Black to be so much more in AEW. You know, but the reality is they're not. And look, he's got this minor injury. I'm going to chalk it up and say that AEW is probably just playing it safe, right? You don't want this guy to get hurt even worse. But hopefully, yeah, they bring him back into a singles role. That would be really good. And our final topic of today's video, guys, WWE NXT airs the first vignette for Brian Pillman Jr., and it sounds like they're sticking with the name, man. I can't be too sure. But in this clip, basically what ends up happening is you got a guy flipping channels. It shows the Cincinnati Bengals, which this is like old school throwback stuff. And then they show early 90s WCW footage. Keep in mind, Brian Pillman Jr. is the son of Brian Pillman, who used to work for WCW. Also, he's a huge fan of the Cincinnati Bengals because I'm pretty sure he's from there. But I mean, I just remember from AEW they did Jon Moxley and Brian Pillman Jr. just because of the location, which was Ohio. So, look, this is great. WWE's bringing in Brian Pillman Jr. We know this, but now they're finally teasing it. Now they're finally going to put him on TV. What are they going to do? How are they going to push him? How do they see him? Because look, the reality is Jade Cargill got the red carpet treatment by signing with AEW or with WWE, and Brian Pillman Jr., no announcement, nothing like that, but we did get a vignette. WWE No Mercy, WWE NXT No Mercy is this weekend. I'm hoping WWE has a plan there to bring him in. What do you guys think? Let me know. I'm giving away the championship belt at 100,000 subscribers, so go ahead and click subscribe.